In the early 1870s, as Kansas opened its wild plains to homesteaders under the Homestead Act, a peculiar family arrived in Labette County. They called themselves the Benders. John Bender Sr. was a gruff, towering man with piercing eyes and broken English. His wife, often referred to as Ma Bender, was known for her cold, scowling demeanor and practiced herbal medicine. Their adult children, John Jr. and Kate, appeared more sociable. John Jr. was awkward and laughed at odd times, but friendly enough. Kate Bender, however, was different. Beautiful, charming, and articulate, she was the face of the family, advertising herself as a spiritualist and healer. She held seances and promised to communicate with the dead. Her calm voice and hypnotic gaze drew people in, but behind her smile was something far darker. The Benders built a modest one-room cabin that served as both home and inn. A canvas sheet hung in the center of the room, dividing it into two areas. Travelers were invited to sit near the front, enjoy warm meals, and listen to Kate's spiritual teachings. It seemed an honest, if humble, operation. But those who passed through often didn't pass beyond. Over time, locals began noticing that people, especially travelers headed west, were disappearing somewhere near the Bender property. Horses were found wandering without their owners. Wagons were abandoned. Letters went unanswered. But with few roads and little law, no one could be sure what was happening. Until the killings began to reveal themselves. For nearly 3 years, the Benders operated in quiet terror. Their guests, often traveling alone or with small families, would stop at the inn for a hot meal and rest. Most never left. The Benders' method was cruel and calculated. A guest would be seated in the place of honor, at the head of the table, with their back to the canvas curtain. As they ate, distracted or engaged by Kate's charm, one of the men would sneak behind the sheet. With a hammer, they would crush the guest's skull. Before the body could fall, someone else, often Ma or Kate, would slit the throat to ensure silence and death. The corpse would then be dropped through a trapdoor beneath the chair, falling into a dark cellar. At night, the Benders would carry the body outside and bury it in their orchard. The soil, rich with blood, became unnaturally fertile. Travelers continued to vanish. Some families even traveled to the inn looking for missing loved ones, only to disappear themselves. But still, no one suspected the charming Kate or the humble Bender family. It was the perfect cover, until one man decided to dig deeper. In the spring of 1873, Dr. William York, a well-known local physician, went missing after traveling through Labette County. His influential brothers, one a colonel and the other a Kansas state senator, organized a search party and refused to let the matter fade. For the first time, real pressure was placed on the local community. A town meeting was called. Suspicion had already been circulating around the Benders, but few dared confront them directly. When local officials decided to investigate each homestead, they arrived at the Bender property only to find it abandoned. The family had vanished. What they found in the wake of their disappearance shocked the nation. Inside the Benders' cabin, they discovered the hidden trapdoor soaked with blood. Beneath it, in the earthen cellar, were large pools of dried blood and chunks of human flesh. A stench hung in the air like poison. In the orchard, investigators unearthed a horror show, over a dozen shallow graves, many containing more than one body. Among the dead was Dr. York. His skull had been crushed and throat slit, his fate the same as many before him. In all, at least 8 bodies were found. Some believe the true number may have been over 20. Newspapers across the country exploded with the story. The term, the Bloody Benders, was coined, and America was introduced to its first known family of serial killers. Despite the manhunt that followed, the Benders were never caught. Witnesses claimed to have seen them boarding a train headed to different parts of the country. Some said John Jr. and Kate fled together, while Ma and Pa went in another direction. Over the years, dozens of people were arrested on suspicion of being members of the Bender family, but none were definitively identified. Rumors swirled that Kate joined a traveling spiritualist show, that Ma and Pa changed their names and died in obscurity, that John Jr. was lynched by bounty hunters in the West. But none of these leads were confirmed. It was as if the Benders had disappeared into the very soil they had used to bury their victims. To this day, the Bloody Benders remain one of America's most chilling unsolved mysteries. A family that smiled, served meals, and murdered behind a canvas sheet, then vanished like ghosts. The house was eventually burned to the ground by locals. The land remained empty for decades, cursed by memory. Travelers still speak of strange whispers near the site where the inn once stood. Some claim the ground weeps when it rains. And if you ever visit Labette County, Kansas, you might hear a story about the beautiful woman with dark eyes and a hypnotic smile, who once promised to speak with the dead. And then made them that way.